Thank you everyone for being here. And this is a webinar in the One Planet City Challenge local webinar series. So the next webinar, I should say already now, will be a high-level keynote on the IPCC AR6 report package and adaptation and possibly also mitigation, especially for cities. This will take place on May 25th, so still a while until that happens. We will keep you posted over newsletter and via your national office. And for that one, we would encourage you to invite your manager, your boss, and your extended team. So we hope that realization of the urgency of the climate crisis could help you level the support you need for your work. But now here we are to listen to Richard talking about the power of energy efficiency. Before you get started, Richard, would you flip the slide? Then I can just fill you in on a couple of news from the OPCC. The shortlisted cities in the One Planet City Challenge, approximately 80, are now on panda.org/OPCC if you want to check which ones they are. Our expert jury is also located on panda.org/OPCC. I've put the link in the chat, and they have deliberated and have now chosen national winners. Global winners will be chosen next week by the expert jury, and national celebrations can start over the next couple of weeks, but depending on national preferences and programs, of course. So it's always your local WWF office that you need to liaise with on these things. So without further ado, Richard, over to you on the power of energy efficiency. We're very excited.
Good. Well, great to meet you, everyone. Yeah, it's a real pleasure to talk to in front of so many cities today. In fact, we'll try and not talk too much. I think the idea today is, we have a lot of cities on the call with real practical experience of implementing energy efficiency. So the idea is to, really use this as a platform to share ideas. Yes, we do think that energy efficiency is a really powerful tool for cities to reduce your carbon footprints and also to save money on tight city budgets. So very quickly, what would be great, what we've got today is we're going to first of all have a kind of general overview of energy efficiency. Going to have a couple of activities and questions for the whole group to get your kind of ideas and feedback. And then we're going to quickly introduce some work that we did at WWF on the kind of fact sheets or toolkit for cities looking at energy efficiency, which which kind of has a way of our way of thinking about energy efficiency in cities, and then also some really kind of practical examples of how that's been put in place. We're then going to hear from several cities. So first from the Philippines, then Jakarta, and then we hope leave the floor open for others to share their thoughts. And then we finish kind of zooming in on the question of appliances and the sustainable procurement of appliances, and we have top 10. Which is international grouping of organizations that looks at best available technologies, but they recently put together some sustainable procurement guidelines for cities, which we'd love, which could be really useful tools and which you can all use. So very quickly, we're going to have this first what we call a Metimeter. To kind of get your inputs on and ideas on energy efficiency. So you'll see a link coming in the chat. You can also, I think here at the top, you'll see that you can put in code 3828962. And the question for you all is, in your view, what are the most impactful actions that cities can implement on energy efficiency? And you should be able to kind of fill in a very just a few words of actions that you've seen that you think are particularly impactful. So I'll give you all a few minutes to do that. You can either use the code and the link that's here, or you can use the link, which I hope the colleague will put shortly in the chat. Thank you, Victoria. So first we see is efficient cooling system, which is music to my ears, because we at WWF, we've really, particularly in tropical countries, I'm based here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, we really think that cooling can be a really major driver of energy efficiency. Do we have any others? Retrofitting buildings, I like it. That's very, very important. So all ideas welcome. Any ideas welcome? Public transportation, yeah. Renewable energy in buildings, LEDs, yeah. And natural lighting, great. Passive housing, yeah. Buildings, energy efficient products, landfill, insulation. Yeah. I'll give you one more. Give you 5 more seconds, 10 more seconds. Yeah. Retrofitting with energy efficiency, electrical devices through policy and regulation of financing, sustainable urban transportation, building designs, policies and codes. So yeah, so many great answers from there, and yeah, we'll be happy to maybe look at those later. So please keep typing, and we can use those for later. So I wanted to just yeah, introduce you a piece of work that we did at WWF last year, kind of going through 4 cities, the major components of energy efficiency and how we view it for cities. You'll see a link here, and we'll share in a chat so you can really explore in more detail in your own time. There's an awful lot of great information there. And so, I mean, in general, for us in cities, there tend to be 3 major end uses for energy. One is buildings, and really this is where a lot of our focus has been on this series. The other big one is transport, and I know that OPCC have had some really successful webinars in recent months on transport. And the last one is industry, and it's interesting, particularly here in Asia, that the industry is still often the biggest energy user in many cities, because of the continuing large manufacturing sectors. So we see those 3, but really today I think we're more focused on the built environment. And in general, what we did in this series was we looked at four areas, 1 and 4 kind of key themes that we think are the most important when cities think about energy efficiency. The first is what we call rethinking urban planning. So it's really getting things right at the kind of macro level and from the very start. So that's getting it into the getting energy efficiency into city planning, then having energy plans. Some really great examples in Tokyo and in Philadelphia and elsewhere of kind of very clear energy and energy efficiency plans. And then it can also be even at a more local level, installing things like district heating and district cooling. The next, which came out, as you see in the Metimeter many times, is on optimizing building envelopes. So getting the kind of shape of getting the buildings right, getting them right in terms of building codes, which we'll talk about later, and making sure that all new buildings conform with a good standard. It's encouraging things like reflective roofs in very hot countries, green roofs where they're appropriate. It means things that, as we saw, shading and good retrofitting of existing buildings. In Europe and colder climates, insulation obviously is a key part. And So that's the second part, and I really invite you to look at the report, which has a huge amount of good examples. The next, which is a real focus today, will be on procuring of green products and services. So particularly at the municipal level, making sure that when you're procuring, you're also that sustainability is a key priority for your procurement team. And then the final one is on behavior change, and this is something that One Planet City Challenge has really pushed, that cities can really play an active role at mobilizing populations, both for themselves to for the populations themselves to change their habits, but also that they can be kind of drivers of policy change as well. And you need the public to come with you on any kind of new policy related to energy. So those are the 4 ways, and I really invite you to read this report, and it is very helpful. So I now will invite our colleague, and he has actually recorded a video from Batangas, which was the winner of the We Love Cities in 2020, to talk about energy efficiency conservation. I hope he's on the chat so he can share his he can answer any questions on the chat during the video presentation. So just bear with me. Sorry, I'm just sharing this video with you all. One second.
Batangas City is an industrialized coastal city in the Philippines, the capital of Batangas Province, and the largest of its 4 cities, a major industrial, commercial, educational, and recreational center. 139,551 inhabitants, the city has a total land area of 28 hectares consisting of 24 urban and 81 rural barangays. The progress and development diversify and increase business activities in the city, brought intense environmental issues on solid waste management, air and water quality management, forest, land conservation, and biodiversity protection and biosafety. The leadership of Batangas City government has always been keen and aware of this, that environmental endeavors have been formulated and implemented to balance returns from both economic and nature conservation. The city government, through the City Environment and Natural Resources Office, has been serving as the front line in attending to finer commitments of the city on environmental stewardship. With the given facts of the city, it is very modest to claim that Batangas City has been way progressive, yet ecologically sound at the moment. Clean and green living through conduct of best environmental practices has been innate with the Batangueños. Through Ordinance Number 16, Series of 2010, otherwise known as the City Environment Code of Batangas, or E-Code, Batangas City has placed environmental protection as a basic foundation of the sustainable development of the city. E-Code Article 7 is all about energy resources, which aims to raise awareness, interest, and commitment to energy efficiency and conservation, to assist private sectors and other interested parties in the development and utilization of renewable and cleaner source of energy in the city. and it promotes the use of appropriate technologies and practices on energy conservation. Further, the city has been conducting its greenhouse gas or the GHG emission inventory since 2013 as a measure to assess and identify the mitigation and adaptation option to be laid down as a policy for the city to implement. Through this, we have identified programs in implementing energy efficiency and conservation practices targeting our goal on a low-carbon city. In raising and heightened awareness on climate change and clean energy, the Bahay Kaalaman, also known as the Climate Change and Clean Energy Hub, was installed in the city. It contains displays of the city's initiatives towards a low-carbon city, informative facts, computer interface games, trivia, puzzles, and reference book and journals. The city as well is switching to renewable energy, as we have installed solar-powered street lights in major thoroughfares. We also have the Isla Verde Solar Electrification Program, the first microgrid solar electrification project in the province and serving one of the 6 barangays of the islands. Ongoing plans of putting the rest of the barangay in solar energy is also on its way. This initiative is in partnership with the USAID Leaders Project and the Meralco. The city of Batangas also started and promotes the use of electric vehicles, which will reach 50 units of e-trike donated by the Department of Energy through the market transportation through the introduction of energy-efficient electric vehicles project. The city of Batangas also started and promotes the use of electric vehicles, where which 50 units of e-trike donated by the Department of Energy through the market transformation through the introduction of energy-efficient electric vehicles project. These e-trikes were being used by the tricycle operators and drivers association and cooperatives of different barangays in the city. The implementation of green building design and infrastructures and energy conservation programs in government offices, malls, and other establishments are provision of Article 3 of the Environment Code. It aims to promote compliance to green building and infrastructure requirements by business establishments and industries in the city through the granting of 25% deduction on building permit fees and 15% discount on real property taxes charges. All new business applicants in the city are prescribed with the details of green building design and infrastructure which shall be included in their submitted development plans. The city government has designated its Energy Efficiency and Conservation Officer in charge of coordinating with the Department of Energy in terms of compliance to the Republic Act 11285 or the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. We are also doing the energy assessment or the energy audit, which is part of the government energy management program under the RA 11285. A 95% compliance rating was given by the Department of Energy and DOST on its energy efficiency and conservation programs. With this, the city also has prepared its local energy code and in the process of approval by the Sangguniang Panlunsod, as well as the local energy management plan. National governments and international environmental jury had been cited and recognized the city government of Batangas' efforts and initiatives in protecting the environment. They have been awarded the city as one of the cleanest in the country and got an international award for the most livable community. Since then, the city earned the recognition from the national governments and various organizations for its sustainable greening and beautification efforts, elevating it to the Hall of Fame for the cleanest, greenest, and its ecological solid waste management. And just last year, the city was hailed as the world's most lovable city during the Worldwide Fund We Love Cities campaign. This recognition proves that the city has an active engagement to its people especially in promoting solutions, and aim to make the city more livable, sustainable, and resilient. Again, thank you very much. This is Mr. Oliver Gonzalez, the City Environment and Natural Resources Officer of Batangas City.
So thank you so much for that, Oliver, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. I think Oliver is here in the chat, so please do ask him any questions that you may have. So the next speaker that we have is from Jakarta. So it's Mr. Togaz. I think, as I understand, Togaz Brainy. I understand you don't have a presentation today, which is and you're gonna talk, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. So really look forward to hearing from you and Jakarta's activities on energy efficiency. And I have to say, Togaz joined us on relatively short notice, and so but I'm really happy that he can join us today.
Okay, thank you. My name Togaz Brainy. I'm head of energy utilization and conservation section in Department of Manpower, Transmigration and Energy, Jakarta Provincial Government. Maybe I have a little presentation, but
okay.
I will present my presentation in Bahasa.
Everyone, there is interpretation, so this is in Bahasa, so please do switch on the interpretation. You'll see it in the interpretation, so those who don't speak Bahasa, like me, you switch to English, please.
Okay, thank you. I will present my presentation in Bahasa. Baik, terima kasih Bapak Ibu. Jadi di DKI Jakarta, arah kebijakan dan status penerapan konservasi energi pada bangunan gedung. Itu yang pertama. Di sini ada dasar hukum dalam kita melaksanakan konservasi energi. Di antaranya itu ada Undang-Undang Nomor 30 tentang energi. Jadi banyak sekali dasar hukum terkait dengan energi dan energi efisiensi di DKI Jakarta. Nah, salah satunya ada juga peraturan gubernur di DKI Jakarta nomor 38 tahun 2012 ini tentang bangunan gedung hijau, di mana persyaratan teknis dari bangunan gedung hijau untuk bangunan gedung baru itu meliputi efisiensi energinya. Jadi diwajibkan gedung-gedung yang baru terbangun itu wajib melakukan kaidah-kaidah penghematan energi atau efisiensi energi. Adapun langkah-langkah terhadap bangunan gedung yang sudah terlanjur terbangun, kami dari Dinas Tenaga Kerja Transmigrasi dan Energi itu melakukan audit energi pada gedung-gedung milik pemerintahan daerah atau milik Pemda, di mana kategori-kategori yang kita pernah audit itu ada sekitar 20 gedung, dapat dilihat pada layar. Berikutnya hasil dari audit energi tersebut sampai dengan November 2019 itu kita melakukan monitoring sekitar 20 gedung. Di 2019 dan sampai dengan 2021 kita tidak melakukan karena adanya pandemi. Namun di tahun 2022 kami melakukan audit energi juga. Rencananya di tahun ini sedang berjalan. Untuk hasil dari audit energi pada 20 bangunan gedung tersebut didapatkan 12 bangunan gedung itu efisien energinya, penggunaan energinya, dan ada 8 gedung yang tidak efisien. Dapat dilihat di layar 12 gedung dan 8 gedung tersebut. Ini untuk hasil monitoringnya secara detailnya. Jadi di sini kita bisa lihat konsumsi totalnya, terus biaya listrik yang dikeluarkan, terus luasan ber-AC-nya ada berapa meter persegi, luas lantai non-AC, luas lantai total, jadi bisa kita lihat status efisiensinya, di mana ke-8 bangunan yang tidak efisiensi itu memiliki nilai efisiensi energi yang sangat kurang. Nah, ini contoh hasil dari audit energi tersebut. Kita melakukan analisa dan potensi penghematan energinya, di mana salah satu kita ambil itu di Kecamatan Menteng, potensi penghematan yang dapat dilakukan apabila mengikuti kaedah-kaedah dari audit energi tersebut dapat mencapai 43.711 kWh atau per tahun, atau setara dengan 65 juta rupiah per tahun. Dengan rekomendasinya berupa penggantian freon AC yang lama dengan freon yang baru, penggantian unit-unit AC, menaikkan setting suhu, penggantian lampu, dan implementasi manajemen energi, serta dilakukan juga sosialisasi dan pemasangan stiker-stiker atau banner-banner tentang penghematan energi. Nah, selain melakukan konservasi energi, kami juga mengembangkan konservasi dengan energi baru terbarukan, di mana hal ini diperkuat dengan adanya Instruksi Gubernur DKI Jakarta tahun 2019 tentang pengendalian kualitas udara. Jadi kami sedang menggiatkan tentang penggunaan energi terbarukan di DKI Jakarta. Salah satunya mungkin dengan peningkatan pemasangan solar panel pada bangunan-bangunan milik Pemda, pada sekolah-sekolah, dan kami memiliki target untuk bauran energi memang ke depannya di 2025 dari pembangkit EBT itu sebesar 45 gigawatt, dan di 2050 sebesar 169 gigawatt. Berikut aksi penghematan energi yang telah dilakukan. Di antaranya tadi audit energi pada 20 bangunan gedung sampai dengan 2019, dan saat ini dilakukan kembali audit energi pada 10 gedung Pemda di tahun 2022. Juga telah dilakukan, ini sebenarnya yang penghematan yang paling besar, itu telah dilakukan penggantian sekitar 270.800 lampu penerangan jalan umum. Jadi sebelumnya kami menggunakan lampu untuk penerangan jalan umum itu menggunakan lampu merkuri yang memiliki daya watt yang cukup besar, kemudian diganti dengan lampu LED, sehingga hasil penghematan energi mencapai sekitar 40% dari total yang sebelumnya menggunakan lampu-lampu yang menggunakan merkuri. Terus untuk pemasangan solar panel di DKI Jakarta telah dilakukan pemasangan solar panel rooftop dengan total kapasitas dari 4 gedung itu sebesar 557 kilowatt peak. Juga selain di bangunan Pemda itu, di sekolah-sekolah milik DKI juga dilakukan pemasangan solar panel pada 100 sekolah, sudah dilakukan pada 100 sekolah, yaitu dengan total kapasitas sebesar 20.092 kilowatt peak. Nah, di Jakarta juga ada pulau-pulau selain di daratan Jakarta, ada juga pulau-pulau kecil, yaitu di Kepulauan Seribu. Itu di Pulau Sabira atau pulau terluar dari DKI Jakarta telah dipasang solar panel terpusat sebesar 400 kilowatt peak, dan ini mencukupi untuk pulau tersebut. Terus selain penghematan energi, kita juga melakukan kerjasama dengan PT Pertamina atau BUMN dari Indonesia untuk membatasi penggunaan bahan bakar minyak atau BBM dengan kadar oktan rendah, sehingga saat ini tinggal 5 SPBU saja di Jakarta yang menjual BBM beroktan rendah, dari sebelumnya sekitar 156 SPBU atau gas station ya. Mungkin itu paparan singkat dari kami dari DKI Jakarta. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Togas, for that great presentation. And I mean, 270,000 lights. That must have been quite a challenge and quite a feat for you and your team. And so congratulations. And it's interesting to see that you know, both Jakarta and Batangas, you know, have this kind of energy audit methodology that you use, and you see, you know, that is a really key step for your buildings of improving how they function. I have several questions, but I think I'd like to kind of open it up to, you know, we have many people on the call today, many cities, and so I'd love to either kind of, you know, hear your questions or kind of get your reactions from your cities, and you know, if you know, on a high level, kind of share how you think about energy efficiency, that would be great. So yeah, I'd be excited to hear from you. You can either, you know, maybe raise your hand and you can you know, either ask a question to the two participants, or to me, or to or share your own experience. Okay, I see you're maybe all a bit nervous. I understand. If you have any questions, maybe we can continue in the chat. Yeah, I'd be interested to know, Togas, do you look at all at procurement in your team and how you procure appliances? Is that something that you look at on making sure, for example, the air conditioning, you know, in our Batangas mentioned the you know, switching to inverter air conditioning. You know, is that something that you look at and you have a team looking at in Jakarta?
Richard, you also had a raised hand, so you know.
Baik, terima kasih. Untuk pengadaan, misalnya penggantian pendinginan udara ya, dalam hal ini AC pada bangunan-bangunan di milik pemerintah DKI, tentunya milik kami, itu biasanya pengadaannya sesuai dengan spot per spot. Dalam hal ini mungkin karena gedung-gedung kami itu ada sekitar 500 bangunan Pemda ya, sampai dengan kelurahan, kecamatan. Jadi pengadaannya di masing-masing pengelola bangunannya. Dalam hal ini mungkin misalnya dari hasil audit energi yang kami lakukan, salah satunya dari rekomendasinya misalnya penggantian unit-unit pendingin pada bangunan gedung itu mereka langsung mengadakan penggantian atau pada saat pembaruan total dari bangunan gedung yang mereka laksanakan. Biasanya gedung-gedung yang sudah cukup lama. Jadi dari AC split biasanya dijadikan AC sentral atau terpusat. Seperti itu pengadaannya. Jadi per masing-masing, dalam hari ini kalau di kami itu SKPD atau Satuan Kerja Perangkat Daerah. Jadi masing-masing kantor pengadaannya. Mungkin itu kalau di kami.
Okay, thanks so much. Well, maybe at the end, if you know, if you do would like to share, I see that the hands have gone down. So I think now I'd like to now, you know, move over to this deep dive on procurement of sustainable appliances, and we have Stefan from Top 10 who will join us now. So Stefan, would you like to share your screen, or I can do it as you prefer?
I will share my screen. Good morning, everyone from Switzerland. All right. So good morning from Switzerland. My name is Stefan Hepp, and I work for the company Top 10. We work internationally with the goal to nurture and support the distribution and use of energy efficient products across Switzerland, but also internationally. And we have created the procurement guidelines recently, which are directed to anyone who buys things, let's say. So large organizations, public procurers, maybe just like you as cities, who as public procurers have to publicly tender. These guidelines basically include documents for a variety of products, include the technical specifications for energy and environmental aspects of products. And we have prepared the documents in a way that you can simply copy and paste the criteria for your products into your tender documents. And the benefit of this is it's very easy to use. You will receive offers for products with high energy efficiency standards. And it also means that you will save on energy and money, obviously. The place to find the documents are top10.eu/pro. You can see it on the right side here. Pro as in professional procurement or procurement. The guidelines have been created for a lot of different product categories. I have highlighted here in blue what I believe is important for cities, but I guess you know best what you're buying. So it goes from office equipment, monitors, notebooks, to TVs, building components such as air conditioners, which we have spoken previously about, but also cars, and then products also for the household. So just what everyone has: dishwashers, washing machines, freezers, etc. The guidelines all follow a very simple structure. So first, so what product is this document about? Then you will have an example of how much money you can save purchasing or using an efficient product versus an average inefficient product. Next, you have the main part, so the procurement criteria, which is the part which defines the criteria for the products in terms of energy efficiency, which is then also can be put into the tender document. And finally, you have an optional section. We call it additional information about the products. So it's like a one-stop shop for you. If you're not so familiar with the product, it gives you just some extra information at hand, so you know what you're dealing with. But now let's have a look in practice. So where do you find these documents? Again, this is this link here. And that is our website on which you can find these documents, Top 10 EU. And this is sorted by all the different product categories, right? And you have the chance to download it as a PDF or Word. Maybe Word is helping you easier to modify and edit it or copy it. Let's look at one document. For example, we've talked about air conditioners, right? So let's look at air conditioners. So you have first an introduction section here. Then you have the example of savings from an efficient model versus an inefficient model. And in this case here, we compared multi-split devices with a cooling capacity of 4 kilowatt, and it basically tells you can save 16% of energy per unit. And then also how much it means monetarily. I mean, this is based on the energy prices in Europe. Then you have this section about the procurement criteria, which I believe is the most important for you and your tender documents. Here we have defined the technical specifications by type of air conditioners. So which are these, this is the classification used in the EU, the energy label. So we've defined by type of air conditioner, what is the minimum that needs to be achieved. So this is the segment which can be copied and pasted into your document. And at the bottom, we also have some additional information. So if you want to gain a quick overview of the energy label, of what types of air conditioners are out there and how do they work, we've provided here. Exactly. And so maybe let me also show you another example. How do I go back? I don't know, let's look at TVs just to show you it follows the same structure. So you have, it's about TV sets. You have the saving example. You can even save up to 1/3 of energy here in this case. You have the criteria. So in this case, television sets must have an efficiency class of F and better. And then you have additional information like how does the energy label look like, what are the different classes, etc., and some additional information. Right. And now the benefit of using this criteria is also that you will not have a blind tender, let's say. So using these criteria, you know beforehand what you will get. Let's say we looked at air conditioners. On top 10 on our website, we also list the best product, the best energy efficiency product in Europe. So you can go to building components, let's say, and look at air conditioners. And then you will see we have a long list of products. In this case, we have 84 air conditioners here who all fulfill this criteria. So you have 84 models from 8 different brands or manufacturers. So this is something that helps you before you do your tender, so you know that there are products out there. It's it's an ambitious criteria, but it's very realistic, and you know beforehand what you can get. Okay, let me switch back to the presentation. And to wrap it up and to recap, the idea and the benefit behind these procurement guidelines is that, first of all, you will know what you get. So you know that there are products out there. Because if you choose your criteria too weak, you will maybe get a lot of offers, but then you will likely need to choose the one with the cheapest offer, which may have poor standards to environmental and energy efficiency. If you choose your criteria too strict, you will not get any offers. So this is something where you can really predict beforehand what you're getting. Then it's very easy to use. I mean, I showed you where you can find these documents. You can just simply copy and paste it into your document that you're preparing. It obviously covers only the energy efficiency part of your tender, not all the other aspects. Then the third point is Top 10 acts as a neutral entity. So we are not supported by any manufacturers. We have, in creating the documents, we were supported by WWF and the European Commission. So I think there should not be any question about partiality. So no one can come to you and say, these criteria are strange. No, we are neutral parties, so you can basically lean back and say, look, this is created by Top 10 and supported by WWF and European Commission. All good. And then finally, we update all the products on top 10 continuously. So you will always have the best products out there. And we also update the criteria paper, so this procurement guidelines regularly whenever our criteria change. Yes, and I hope that helped you a bit. And again, here is the link where you can find these documents. And I'm happy to receive questions from you, either in the chat or, yeah, Richard, or via directly asking.
Thanks so much, Stefan. Yeah, it'd be great, you know, if people do have any questions, please do raise your hand. In the meantime, there is one more Mentimeter based on the, you know, the area that we sorry, based on the kind of framework that I explained earlier from WWF and how we look at energy efficiency in cities. And so I'll just share that with you all now. In the meantime, please do, if anyone wants to raise their hand to share their experience or to ask any questions to the people. You know, we have many great people on this call today, so I'd be happy to. It'd be great to hear from you. In the meantime, we'll have a little quiz, a little questionnaire. It's not a quiz. It's really to get your thoughts. So again, it's the same link as before. You know, I outlined 4 areas that we at WWF have, you know, think about energy efficiency for cities. So city planning, improving building envelopes, procurement of efficient appliances, and inspiring behavior change. So if you'd like to vote on you know, where you think that the cities have influence. So if you go right, it means high influence. If you go left, low influence. So again, it's the same link as before, which I can put once more in the chat. And then also you'll see, or you can go to menti.com and put 382896 962. Okay, we've had seven responses so far. I hope others can join in. So it's very easy. Just go click on the link and then vote for your preferred thing. So as we can see, I think it's right that, you know, city planning is clearly an area where cities can have a great influence. And on the building envelopes, I think you're right. You know, often these national level processes, you know, the important building codes, the important you know, regulations, the fiscal incentives are often set at a national level. However, I think there is, you know, there are things that that cities do and are doing and have done on building envelopes, yeah, particularly in their own, you know, setting a great example in their own municipal buildings. We've worked as WWF with some city governments on energy efficiency in their own buildings. And then, as we see on appliances, you know, of municipal products, you know, for municipal, we see some, you know, that can be. And then on behaviour change, I'm surprised. It'd be great to hear in the chat or people share that, you know, that cities, you know, maybe it is hard, you know, there's a lack of communication budget or lack of some in other areas that stop cities from being able to have as much influence as they may be like. So I'm going to stop sharing for a while, and then I'm just seeing if there are any hands up. Are there any questions that you that anyone might have? I mean, I'm happy to share a little bit more on the WWF kind of paper, and we have a short presentation. But while we're waiting, I'd love to hear if there are any cities that would like to share.
One question I received, or a couple of questions I received, is asking for the presentation, but I guess I will share it with you, Richard, and you can send it afterwards to everyone.
Yeah, with pleasure. I'll share my presentation, the presentation of Stefan, and then I think most importantly, these links to these different materials that have been shared today. So we can share those. Of course, I think everyone registered, so we have your email, so we can. That's easy to do. So anyone wants to contribute? If not, don't worry. I'll with this few minutes remaining, I'm happy to go in a little bit more detail on some of the on this work that we've done. So I think if we go a bit more in detail on kind of urban planning, what do we mean? I think one is some of the ideas that we have in the paper is one, kind of create integrated energy plans and targets. So looking different facets of energy, different use types, and kind of looking at things in a holistic way. I think one cities, the more spread out, the more kind of building space you have, the more energy you need to use, both on transport and buildings. And then the final one that we dive in on this is district cooling and heating. And there was a question for Jakarta as well on their cooling, and maybe they can share shortly on that. The next is optimizing building envelopes, so improving building codes, promoting better roofs, and then really kind of encouraging passive design measures in municipal buildings. I think one really interesting example is Durban, that has a series of policies that promote net zero buildings in Durban through fiscal incentives and through regulation. So that's really kind of a great example, and you can read about that in the report. The next is on kind of green procurement and products and services. So using Top 10 and using their services and their what they have on their website is very useful, and just really encouraging there to be the switch to LEDs, switch to kind of inverter type and split air conditioners or centralized as Jakarta talked about. But moving away from the least, the most consuming ones, and then and on IT and others, that's a particularly big use. And then the final one I think is on behavior change, and so communication campaigns on reducing energy use, but also kind of getting the public ready for changes and changes in that they may go through on say transport or others is important. One thing that we really do a lot at WWF is in our offices we try and visualize for our staff the energy use, which really kind of shows them how much they use and also how much they can reduce. And so finding ways that you can visualize energy use are really important. I'm happy to share our experience of using a tool that we have here to better understand our energy use. And then the final thing is I think the lesson of a lot of the behavior changes really try and make it fun. I think energy efficiency, and I was very impressed to see 63 people today, so very excited. But on the whole, it can be a bit of a dry and not the nice sexy topic. So really trying to make these things fun is really important. So would anyone be interested in kind of sharing? Otherwise, I think we're coming to the end. As we said, we'll share these presentations. and yeah, great to have you with us today. Victoria, anything you'd like to share just to wrap things out?
No, thank you, Richard, for coming here today and for presenting, and great big thank you to all of the guests that came as well. That was really interesting.
Great.
Looking forward to seeing everyone again in the next webinar.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and yeah, it was a real pleasure. And yeah, good luck with your different efforts, and thanks particularly to Jakarta and Batangas for sharing their experience, and to Top 10 for the great work that they've done on sustainable procurement. So thanks everyone. Have a great rest of the day or evening or morning, depending on where you are in the world. Thanks so much. Bye.